Leave the football before the football leaves you.
It is fair to say that Casemiro has surprised us all this season, and I do mean that in the best possible way. Now, I've got something to say about Casemiro, about how he's playing, about what's been said about him, about what the future holds, and the World Cup this summer, because right now, he deserves all the praise he's receiving. So let's talk about him. So there really have been plenty of surprises this season, as far as Manchester United go, both good and bad. Now, in terms of good ones, I want to speak about Casemiro in this video. I did a video on Casemiro and Maguire and the contract situation a month ago. I want to follow up on that and speak about all the variables I see in front of us, because Casemiro's season so far, it really does deserve this sort of conversation, all right? Because if we rewind to last season, and this is not exclusive to Casemiro, but Manchester United players in large look pretty bad, to the point where Jamie Carragher came out with that quote. It's just kind of what pundits do. They say top-level explosive things because that's what pundits are expected to do now. Like Ruben Amorim said, if you're not doing that sort of stuff, I won't listen to you. But Casemiro, towards the tail end of last season, in the Europa League, really refound his form. Obviously, we lost the final. It wasn't on Casemiro. And coming into this season, he really has looked more like Real Madrid Casemiro. Now, I think United playing once a week is massively helping in this regard. The reduced schedule is allowing Casemiro to be significantly better in the games, but it's not just for club, it's also for country. And I've spoken about the World Cup before and how I think that's driving Casemiro. I don't say that in a negative fashion, but I think it is. If you look at United with and without Casemiro, the difference is stark. United in the first halves this season, we're right at the top of the table behind City. Second halves, we're in relegation form. And Amorim has been speaking about like the problems between United in the first half and the second half. United conceding the most second half goals in the league. And he points towards Casemiro and Maguire going off a few times. Now, this stat here, this was even before the Spurs game, but the Spurs game was another example of it. Casemiro has gone from, I wouldn't say he was in the fringes last season, but he's gone from somebody who might start to somebody who has to start for United. And it brings into question his future. Now, as I said, I think Casemiro very much this season is being driven by the World Cup. And also the fact that we're playing once a week is allowing him to rest, recuperate and recover and bring in these sorts of performances. I've spoken, I think it was last month, I did a video on how I didn't think that United should be giving Maguire or Casemiro new contracts. And when I did that video, and the premise of that video was me speaking about football in perspective. The amount of money that Casemiro's on, we don't know exactly what it is, but it's north of 300. Is he the top earner at the club now that Rashford's gone? I think he is. I don't know exactly what it is, and the same goes for Maguire. Maguire's on somewhere between 150 and 200. I don't know exactly what. But following on from that, this is what The Athletic has been saying about Casemiro's future, right? Saying that he's not looking beyond Old Trafford just yet. Scholes here saying that, look, athletically, the likes of Shaw and Maguire and Casemiro, not quite up to what United need in the Premier League anymore. But maybe something that I've been underestimating is, and the reason I'm putting these quotes up from Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, is because I think as far as his position in the Brazil squad and the United squad now goes, it's, I suppose, quite similar. He is somebody that a lot of people look up to. And I think I've underestimated how good a role model Casemiro is. That's not enough, right? It has to be blended with performances, which is what he's doing this season. But I feel really strongly on this part here, right? So these are reports coming out from Brazil about Casemiro and the fact that he might not be willing to take a wage cut to stay at United. There really is only one way that I would shift my opinion here on Casemiro and not getting a new contract. And it's an old thing that United used to do, but not something that we've done in a long time. This here is an example of it. Back in 2015, when Michael Carrick signed a one-year extension at the club. Manchester United previously used to have a club policy where anybody who was over the age of 30 was given only a one-year rolling contract. You play well enough in that season, oh man, you're here. This is basically an infinite contract as long as you are performing. But we as a football club can't give you more than a year because it's too much risk for us to take on. The only way that I see it working is if Casemiro honestly takes probably a 50% plus wage cut and signs a 1-year rolling contract. In that specific set of circumstances, I might soften my stance. Otherwise, I feel that money that could be used on Casemiro's wages should be reinvested back into the squad. That's something that also should be taken into account in this. I think that Casemiro's family and what he wants to do for his family is going to play, I would argue, just as important a role in the next decision that he makes. Like him moving to Miami. I think him and his family just went on holiday to Miami. I think he's been there a few times as well. You could see him moving to the MLS. The World Cup's in America. You could see him moving to Miami. Into Miami, joining Messi, joining Beckham. That could happen. Do I think this conversation could change in a few months' time if Casemiro's form dips? Maybe. But I'm going to go back to that again. And it's this. It's that 1-year contract extension. This, I really hope, is a policy that we bring back at this football club. Because it made sense. It was more power to the club. It forced anybody over the age of 30 to keep themselves in absolute peak condition to regain that contract rather than getting a contract 2-3 years at the age of 30 and then going, that's it, man. I've settled in. But Casemiro is somebody who I've criticised. Somebody who, do I feel that those wages could be reinvested better? Part of me still does think that. But if there's any way or any circumstances that he does stay at this football club past this season, then for me, it has to be on a wage cut north of 50%. I don't know whether that will happen. That might be the driving point of the conversation. Casemiro kind of strikes me a little bit like Bruno in that Saudi, I could earn how much there, but I don't think that's that sort of money at this point in his career really drives him. He didn't need that. It's more about competing at the top level. It's more about being happy where he and his family are. And I think he feels quite settled in Manchester. So it's just going to be interesting to see the rest of this season, how it plays out. But if Casemiro is to stay, then for me it has to be on a 1-year rolling contract, a wage cut north of 50% to bring him down towards maybe what Cunha's on, or maybe a little bit less than what Cunha's on. I think that would be very reflective because we have to invest big in the midfield. We need 2 big midfield signings. So even if Casemiro was to stay, he wouldn't be playing every single game. And in that sense, maybe that would be perfect for Casemiro. And we will continue next season to see this version of Casemiro. If you supplement his reduced wages by moving Ugarte on and then bringing in 2 powerhouse midfielders, maybe we can see this Casemiro for a year or two in a role model perspective, whilst also playing certain games. And maybe I was wrong to suggest that United shouldn't even consider it. And maybe they should consider it if the terms are right for the club. I want you to let me know what you think.